you are fortunate in life, you may run across the path of unconditional love and happiness. So let's take a look at some of what that's about. To begin with, here is a basic truth about love that many of us never quite understand, and that is that you are either in a loving place or you are in an unloving place. And consider the idea that life is a school of love. It's a school where if you're in a loving place, you're enjoying life and going with the flow. Things are going well, you're happy. If you are in an unloving place, you are getting a lesson on how to be more loving, accepting, appreciative, inspired, kind, compassionate, things like that. And here's a first lesson from the school of love many of us never got to understand, which is that love is many feelings. Romantic love is just one beautiful form of love, but there are many more on the path of unconditional love. There's allowance and acceptance. There's appreciating people and their good qualities. There's admiration. There's agape, universal love, and more. Now, acceptance and allowance are forms of love we can all do in any moment. Just accepting someone the way that they are without needing them to change is a powerful form of love. And unconditional love accepts everything as it is. Now, unconditional loving doesn't mean being a doormat. Accepting life as it is doesn't mean you don't have to deal with stuff. If you're about to get evicted, you can scream and cry, or you can just learn to get better at handling money. If you're in a difficult relationship, you may have to leave or create better boundaries or whatever. You have to deal with unpleasant circumstances in life to change them if you can. Loving doesn't mean being a doormat. It means changing life to be as pleasant as it can for you and the people around you. Now, what is the path of unconditional love and happiness? It is choosing to love and be happy regardless of the content and the circumstances of your life. See, it's easy to love and be happy when all is well. You get a promotion, you have a new lover, you've got nice life circumstances. Well, life is good. You're on vacation. It's great. But when you're laid off work or your partner leaves you or there's money problems, then we complain and feel bitter and life is unfair and we suffer. So one of the first things on the path of unconditional love and happiness is simply to recognize that the content of your life right now, for the most part, is determining your happiness. The content of your life is controlling your happiness and loving. Not just the big stuff, like when there's a divorce, but the little stuff. You know, we get a flat tire, or there's a rude store clerk, or there's a traffic jam, or there's piles of laundry to be done, a friend doesn't text back, there's nothing on TV, neighbor's dog barking, whatever. We stop loving and being happy over the little things in life. We think our happiness is determined by the content of our lives. Understand that you can be happy and loving whatever happens. If you can be happy and loving whatever happens, then you're going to be a lot more happy and loving, right? So, look, if a tornado destroys your house, you can feel like a victim and feel like your life is ruined for months or years. Or you can be excited and happy that you lived through the tornado and you get to find a new home. What an adventure! Most of the time, it's how we relate to what happens that determines our happiness more than what happens. Consider this. If a barking dog or nothing on TV or household chores get to you, you are going to be triggered and unhappy in your life a lot. Do the circumstances of your life control your love and happiness, or do you? This is a great question on the path of unconditional love you may find yourself asking often. Good stuff and difficult stuff comes as part of life. But realize the world gains nothing from you being miserable. And you can be happy just to be here in this world, having all the adventures that you have, trying to make the world around you and your life a happy, loving place. Understand that, we'll all react to many things with upset. But you can then choose to respond with love and happiness. How you react is not always in your control, but you can control your response to your first reactions. Unhappiness and suffering come from being in an unloving place about life. Suffering and anger and resistance and life shouldn't be this way can be ways to learn to shift your focus towards acceptance and loving kindness. You'll change what you can, but our unhappiness and suffering can offer us lessons on how to shift to be in a more loving place. And one of the things you may learn is that the universe itself will keep giving you difficult circumstances until you learn your lesson on loving. So you may have a string of difficult relationships where there's always fighting and arguing. Or you may be unhappy at work even though you've changed jobs 4 times. Or you just may notice a lot of anger or fear in your life showing up daily. And it will until you learn your lesson and can shift to more loving kindness for yourself and the world around you. Are you coming from love or fear? Think about this. Most human drama comes from taking fearful, fictitious stories in our heads too seriously. The little voice in our head is always running, and it's got a worry machine. And it's saying, will I run out of money? What if my mate leaves me? What if I never find a mate? What if it doesn't work out? What if I get sick? What if the world is going to hell? What if I don't get the promotion? What if all of these unpleasant things? They're all just stories. And many of the fictitious stories the little voice tells you in your head comes from fear. And that keeps us or moves us to an unloving place. Try on the idea that you are here to change frequency from fear to love. It's a lifelong journey, and you get better at it through practice. And there's 2 powerful ways to get started. First, begin noticing if you are in a loving place or an unloving place. Just notice, where are you at? And second, you can start practicing loving kindness towards yourself and others several times a day until it becomes a practice, a habit. As you follow this incredible path of unconditional love and happiness, you will discover many useful, empowering things. First, you'll discover that you don't have to wait for love. You can give it first. You don't have to wait for people to be loving to you before you love. So you can love people first. however they show up, then the rest of your relationships will go easier. And you'll notice that you'll often react to the small issues in life from upset, but that you can then respond to that initial upset by choosing love. And when you choose love, you move to a loving place with your life. And on the journey, you can always ask these two questions. What would love do? You can ask that when a difficult circumstance arises. And also, how can I practice loving kindness in my life today towards myself and the world? So, enjoy the path of unconditional love and happiness. It's a great journey.